Let's talk about the books that I want to read during the month of March on this dark, dark day. I'm hoping the lighting's going to be okay. It's dark. It's still winter here. It is what it is. So for the month of March, my main goal is to survive. Okay? It's just to not get into reading slump. So far the year has been all over the place, but I have a pile of books. We're going to go through it. I'm hoping that I will find some favorite there because I need it. I do think I have a good plan match. So the first two are from the Patreon book club. Throw them on the floor, that's going to help. So the first one is our classic for the month of January, February, March. This is the last month I'm supposed to actually read this. This is The Bluest Eye. To be fair, I was planning on reading it this month. I was just waiting for it to be less depressing outside to read a depressing book, clearly, with the weather right now. It's working for sure, but I have been warned that I will be crying reading this book, and I'm not really ready for it, but this is going to be my first book by Toni Morrison, and you're following this young black girl, and she prays every day for beauty, so people are not nice to her. I have heard that it will break my heart. It's not super long. It's like 200 pages, so I'm not worried about that part. It's definitely the heartbreak. I needed a break so far this year, and this is going to be my first sad book, so crossing my fingers that doesn't make me cry too much. And then I made you vote for our monthly pick, which you can see it was tight. It flip-flopped actually. At first it was the fantasy at the bottom, and no, didn't win. It's still my TBR. It's probably not going to fully happen this month, but still. The winner ended up being Other Birds by Sarah Addison Allen. I have read Garden Spells by her, and then First Frost, which is the second book in that series, which don't read that one. Read the first one though. It's like witchy, small town. It was fun. I liked it for what it was, and I've been wanting to read more by her. My library has a bunch of her audiobooks, so I will be listening to those, but this is the other copy that I own by her. And some of you told me that it's like ghost story, which I don't know how I would feel about that, but all of her other books are kind of feel good, so I'm hoping that that's going to be kind of the case with this one. It's more contemporary, maybe fantasy, magical realism. It seems to be her vibe. And like the main character, her mother passed away, and when she moves in the apartment, she makes friends with the neighbors, and feels like it's going to be a little feel good, which again, the other books that I've read by her were like that. So I'm hoping for the best. I've heard that the writing is also beautiful, so I just wanted to try more by her, so I'm really glad that you guys felt the same. So hoping for the best. I actually have a really, really good feeling about this one. You're going to see it's the case with all of these because I'm really trying not to get in a reading slump, but this one is under 300 pages, so I feel like shorter books could also help me stay motivated, so that's definitely on my list. And again, if I like that one, my library had a bunch of her other books, so I'm going to include it now because I already mentioned that I want to read it. I'm probably going to keep it for later during the month, so I might end up finishing it in April, but I've been wanting to read more by the author after reading The Will of the Many, which was the first book that I finished this year, and it's also the first book I gave 5-star to, and it's putting me in a reading slump because nothing compares. I feel like that means I should have started with his completed series, right? You would think. But this is the first book. This is an adult fantasy series that he wrote, so The Shadow of What Was Lost, and I'm terrified of it because have you seen the size of this thing? This is ridiculously big. I feel like I haven't read that many like huge fantasy books. It's 700 pages. I don't know, it looks like it's 1,000. I haven't read really many big fantasy books in a while. I feel like the last 2 years I've been avoiding them, and we're going back. We're going back. I really loved, like I said, his other book, and I am optimistic that I'm going to feel the same. I frankly don't know anything about it. I don't want to. Again, just fantasy, but I'm looking forward to it. But like I said, I'm going to keep it for last because I'm still a little worried, but I want to go back to really thick fantasy books, and I feel like this year is the year, but maybe more during the summer. But yes, I'm looking for, plus look, okay? I have a weakness for like really fluffy books, so we're getting over our fears of big books and fantasy, so that's definitely happening, just not in the beginning of March, okay? We're doing that though. I also wanted to try and read more wholesome books, again, hoping that it will help the slump, and this is something that sounds different for me and for the author because he writes really dark, like murder mysteries. I've read one by him, and I wanted to read more by him. I also have some other ones on my shelves, but this is like a wholesome one, kind of magical realism also, which usually not my main genre, but it sounds like it's going to be a little feel good. You have these, what do they call? Delinquent that are hiding in this general store in the middle of the night when they start receiving letters from past owners, and it changes their life or something. Listen, I'm trying to give translated books another shot, because the Japanese ones have been so hit and miss, and I have two in here that I'm hoping will change my mind, because the writing always feel a little dry for me, like I feel emotionally detached, but because this is like a wholesome one, I'm hoping that that's going to help. And the other one is like other end of the spectrum, and it is this one. This is Breast and Eggs, and this one is more like a feminist one, which I realized that a lot of the translated work, again Japanese specifically, that I read were written by male authors, so I wanted to try one by a female author. And I've heard really fantastic things about this author in general, so I picked it up because of you. And this one follows three women, and it says that it's about these three women slowly confronting their individual anxieties. It's like a social commentary, and again, feminist work, so I'm really looking forward to that one. These two, please change my mind before I completely give up on Japanese translation. I don't know why I see more Japanese translations than like anything else. It might be just my bubble in Canada or just me in general, but these are the last two. They're the last two. Well, I have another one by the same author, but still. Which other countries should I try? Because I do have some Italian ones, which this is the last book in this series. I kept telling myself I was going to wait until the summer, because I've been reading this series during the summers slowly because I'm loving it, but I can't wait. And again, we don't want to fight the reading slump any longer. So the last book in the series, I had started it. I'm at page 104, but I'm going to start from the beginning because I want to get back to it. This is the last book in this quartet. This is the story of the lost child, and I haven't been this emotionally invested in a contemporary series in forever. I feel like I only read like one single standalone contemporary book ever. Like I don't ever pick up series. Do they still do? I feel like I used to read a bunch of them as a teenager, and then ever since I feel like they're always standalone, but this is a series. And these two women, you're following their whole life story, their whole friendship. That's how it starts. They're like in their 60s in the beginning, and then you go back to them as children in their small neighborhood in Italy, and you see them grow up, and it's just pure chaos. Okay, you're just watching the train wreck, and you're so emotionally invested in these women. And in this one, they're past their 30s at this point, and it just gets worse and worse. But you get a lot of, again, social commentary about like political intrigue, relationships, and it's just, I need to know how it ends. I just do. I have been watching the TV show, and the fourth book is not out yet in the series, so I don't have any spoilers yet. But yes, we're going to start over, and I'm going to finally find out how it ends. I don't want to be done. I haven't felt like that in about a series, again, that isn't like fantasy in forever. I just don't want it to end. I've been reading it for like, this is going to be my third summer. It's not going to make it to the summer, but it would have been my third summer. Like I've been reading this slowly, and I'm so attached to these characters, and I just, I mean, I can reread it, I guess, but so good. And if you don't want to read it, at least watch a TV show, but so good. But I don't want to finish it. Anyway, speaking of finishing it, I only have two more books to read from Octavia E. Butler. This is Fledging. Technically, the other one, Survivors, is not published anymore, but I can read it online, so I'm going to do that. But this is officially the last one, but I'm going to read the other one anyway. And Fledging is the last book she ever published. A lot of people say it's worse. She was in a, I was going to say reading slump. She was in a writer's block at that point. She was struggling to continue her other series, Parable of the Sower and the Talons. I don't know what the series is called, but that. And the second book is actually probably my favorite book by her. Not my favorite series, but my favorite book by her. There's a character in the last book that I'm not violent, but it would be on sight. I literally, my review on Goodreads is hidden because it's a spoiler. I just say F you, said character, because the hate that I feel for that person, endless. So yes, I'm almost done. And I'm not ready to be done, but she was in a writer's block, and this one is following a vampire. Like, I had heard that this was a fun one, but knowing her definition of fun is probably extremely questionable. But this is the last one-ish that I have to read. I'm planning absolutely to do a video reviewing all of them, letting you know where you can start, blah, blah, blah. I usually say Kindred. That's the answer. But I'm going to do like a full, this is the order I would read them kind of thing, reviewing all of them, because she is one of my all-time favorite author. But there's definitely some books that you should start with. I know some of you still started there like them, but personally, if I had started with the Paternist series, I would have never read anything else by her. I would have not finished the first book. And she's one of my favorite authors, you know? But yes, Fledging, questionable vampire. I'm assuming a lot of in there. So yeah, listen. I'm expecting the worst because everyone has warned me, but her books are not super big. It's like 300 pages. But yeah, I don't know if I have the courage to, again, this is like ending this journey of me reading her books. Again, it's been like, what, 3-4 years, and I don't want to be done because she hasn't published that many books, but I love her. And, you know, I want to do that video for you, but I also don't want to be done, especially if it's the worst. Whatever, it will happen, maybe this month. Let's be real, did you really ever want to have nothing else to read from one of your favorite authors? It just feels so final, and I'm not fully ready for that. I'm just not. Okay, audiobooks from the library. I do still have, I feel like the ones that I have from the library, I keep flip-flopping. The ones that I really want to read are weeks away from being available. So the ones that I think I will have time to get to, the first one is How to Keep a House While Drowning. This is a nonfiction about cleaning, and again, what does it say? A gentle approach to cleaning and organizing. I don't feel like I need this right now. I needed this, you know, 2 years ago, but I'm still looking forward to it. It's like 3 hours, so I just want to know if I can get more tips and tricks. We'll talk about it more in that vlog. I have things to share about that. And otherwise, I'm going to give you some options, and I would love to hear your answers because, again, the ones that I really want to read, it's all like 7, 10, 20 weeks from now. I do have Life as We Knew It, which I believe is a post-apocalyptic book, which I had a little kick a couple weeks ago, last year at this point. And I think this one might be YA, but a lot of you told me it was good, and it says 2 weeks, so I could. One that is available, but frankly, I think I'm going to keep it for this summer, but feel free to change my mind, is Demon Copperhead, which, again, more contemporary than what I'm used to. I believe this is the one that is set in the Appalachian, what is this set? Yeah, mountains. Yeah. You're following this teenage boy who has copper-colored hair and dealing with situations because, again, contemporary. What else do we have? I do have The Changeling by Victor Laval, which, to be honest, I have read 2 of his books now, and I don't know how I feel about him anymore, but I wanted to try this one because I had seen clips. This was made, was it a movie, a TV show? So I will give it a shot. I also have Migrations, which I really wanted to read, again, months ago. Now that it's time to read it, I'm like, do I still want to read this? But this is where audiobooks come in clutch because it's much easier to listen to a book than actually read it. But you're following this researcher who goes to Greenland, so I feel like that gives me cozy vibes in my head. And she's following, is it birds that are doing their like final migration? So I thought this was going to give me cozy vibes. I might be completely wrong, but during the winter, I want the cozy vibes. So that worked in my head. And I have other books, but I feel like they sound depressing and I don't want to do that to myself. Like, for example, I do have Know My Name, which has been on my TBR forever. It's 15 hours long and I expect that it's going to be a little depressing, but I think I'm going to make time for it this month because I really want to get to it finally. But yeah, I feel like all the good audiobooks are for the future me. So sadly, this is kind of where we're at. I'm excited though. I do feel like I'm going to have a good time if I actually get over my reading slump. And also, as always, I have to do my read it or unhaul it challenge for a whole week. So I don't have many challenges for myself this month because I just survived the 1 week, 1 shelf. But for some reason, I have a feeling that the read it or unhaul it is going to be especially chaotic in March. I don't know why. I think it's because I really want to do one for sci-fi, like specifically pick sci-fi, because I have so many on here that I need to declutter. But again, we don't want to make the reading slump worse, so we're going to keep that for later. I think what's going to happen is whenever I do reorganize my shelves, I'm going to ask you while showing you these shelves to tell me which ones you think I'm going to hate, and I'm going to do a new edition of reading the books that you think I'm going to hate, basically reading them until they piss me off, which I did that once with fantasy books, and you were right, I got rid of 3 books after hating on them pretty harshly. It was fun. Maybe not in the moment, but it was fun, and I feel like I desperately need to do that with sci-fi books. So yeah, that's going to be your choice at that point. So that's it. These are the plans for March of 2024. I'm hoping for the best. I do think that I will find at least 1 5-star. That is the goal every month, right? At least 1 5-star. So that's going to be it. Would love to hear your thoughts on any of these, any ones that I should prioritize, and also your personal plans for 2024 for March. Let's stick to March. Thumbs up, subscribe. More videos on the screen that I recommend you check out, and I will see you in my next video. Bye. Okay.